Hey, football fans, and welcome to another episode of The Football Connection. As always, I'm your host, Brock Boyd, and today we are joined by our very special guest and previous guest host, Dylan Miller. Dylan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How you doing, Brock?
And I'm doing wonderful. So here we are, into the offseason now. Kind of an anticlimactic end to this really kind of exciting season.
Yeah, high-flying offenses and then kind of a little bit of a letdown in the Super Bowl.
A little bit of a letdown. Now, I know, you defense fans, you're going to disagree, but for those of us who do like, high-flying games, that was just, whew. I felt like even the halftime show was a little just,
man. Just a little man.
Yeah, the whole thing was, but whatever, 2018 is behind us. It was exciting for you. I know the Chiefs had a phenomenal season.
We did, but it's time for 2019 offseason.
Yeah.
2019 offseason.
And here we are. We are, less than a month away or a month away today from the league opening up and free agency starting, which is always exciting.
Yep. Second best day of the year
after
the Super Bowl.
Right, yeah. I can't wait. I feel like this is a really defense-stacked free agency. And so we're going to see a lot of teams making some moves. And so, anyways, today's topic that we're going to be going over is just the entire AFC West. We're going to be talking about team needs, the draft, notable free agents, just kind of things you want to talk about, things you think your team needs, or Denver or LA or Oakland or Vegas. When are we going to Vegas?
Yeah, 2020, I think.
2020. So we got one
more season.
All right. So yeah, yeah. So all right. But before we do jump into that, do you have any thoughts on this last season that you want to?
I mean, this is one of the most successful seasons for the Chiefs.
Right.
So, I mean, as a Chiefs fan, we were super hyped.
Yeah.
We were super hyped for the next 10 to 15 years with Mahomes as our quarterback. So,
sure.
As a football fan, I'm excited because I get to watch the Chiefs all the time. So.
Right. Well, you said that about Patrick Mahomes. First year, I mean, unbeaten, breaking records. I feel like, though, with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, you don't have a longevity as much of a – instead of 10 years, you're looking at maybe 5. When you got a quarterback who's running around a lot, who's using his athleticism as a real big tool, we know that football players every year, eventually it's going to start – those legs are going to get a little less.
Right.
And he's young. You got some time.
Yeah.
But closer to 30 – I don't know if that's still going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Time will tell. I mean, I'm hoping that he turns out to have an Aaron Rodgers type of career.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, he throws the ball like Aaron Rodgers and he kind of moves around like an Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we've seen Aaron Rodgers' kind of durability go down the last 5 years, and that's what we have to expect.
Right.
Nobody lasts forever, but we're hopeful.
Well, yeah, where you see Aaron Rodgers, I see more of a Cam Newton or like a Michael Vick and Robert Griffin III. Those guys, that's what I see in your quarterback. Because Aaron Rodgers is technically, he's still a pocket passer, where he can move a little better than Peyton Manning or Tom Brady.
Right.
That pocket passer is it's so important to
right.
utilize him. Can Patrick Mahomes figure it out? Sure. But when he was stuck in the pocket, it really affected his gameplay.
I would disagree. I think he played really well from the pocket, and he had one of the top quarterback ratings from the pocket.
Did he?
So I believe he's at least in the top 5, if not the top 10, in quarterback ratings. So I think he can be a pocket passer just as well. People look to the plays he made outside the pocket because they're flashier, but he doesn't have near the athleticism of a Cam Newton or Michael Vick or RG3 or anything like that. So
well, let's just for argument's sake throw the stats kind of off to the side, all right? And just kind of tell you an observation that I made near the end of the season.
Sure.
All right. I noticed that when defenses were playing against Patrick Mahomes, it was just slam him up the middle.
Yeah.
All right. And I get that probably beginning of the season, to the end, he maybe had time to throw it out because they're defending the outside.
Right.
So they're not. But once they realized that they could come through the middle, which I think is the blueprint for Patrick Mahomes, is he started getting sacked. He started having to throw it out or run away instead of extending a play. He was running away from getting sacked. And so I think that if I've noticed this, so have defensive coordinators. And Patrick Mahomes hopefully he's a man of many trades. Hopefully that gameplay wasn't it.
Yeah.
And that's so the second year, halfway through 2019, if we're seeing the same Patrick Mahomes, I'm sold.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do feel like that there's now a blueprint.
Right. And I would say that he struggled a little with reading defenses, and that's where the pressure came from. So when you look at some of the tougher games that he played against, like especially the playoff game against the Patriots, I think they confused a lot of the coverages and a lot of the pressures that they were bringing, and I think that's what caused a little bit of confusion for him and why he didn't have much success. Obviously, he thrives in quick passing game and things like that, but can't do that. If a defense is playing, in those zones there, it doesn't work as well. So he's not perfect by any means, but we're sure hopeful for sure.
Well, right, and as everyone knows, it's a team sport, and so as also some I noticed. Let's use that Patriots game for example, is they were just pressing those receivers.
Right.
I mean, you put a hit on Tyreek Hill, don't let him get that. Those jets going. It really throws off the entire thing. And I get that you got Travis Kelce up the middle, but I mean, he's
so. And I would say that they doubled Tyreek Hill the whole game. So even they were pressing him, and it worked a lot of the time. But when they didn't press correctly and he got free, they still had a safety over the top.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've seen some all 22s of that kind of thing where you see the whole defense and they're doubling them the whole game.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean. Again, we'll see how it goes.
That was just kind of an end thought I've had about Patrick Mahomes. I as you all know and as you know, I get a little biased when it comes to the Chiefs. I try not to be, but also I feel like that there's some validity behind what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And we'll find out when teams change. I mean, this is a good segue into the Chiefs. Is you have 20 free agents this season.
Yeah.
You can franchise tag one, keep a couple. You can't spend too much money.
Exactly.
So you got Patrick Mahomes you got to pay next year.
Yeah.
And so the question is when you have a team that was so good together and you take away potentially almost half of that team, where does that leave you? And is Patrick Mahomes able to do what Tom Brady does and make anybody better?
Right.
And we kind of saw it with somebody like Chris Conley.
Yeah.
Do you think that's someone who you might keep around?
No, I don't think Chris Conley is going to be around. Okay. I think he served more of a role rather than a prominent place in the offense. Oh. Where I would be interested to see the Chiefs as far as offensively go this is what I would say. Free agents want to come to Kansas City because they want to play with Patrick Mahomes. So I would not be surprised if some people took some pay cuts to come play with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. That's just my feeling. You can see it with like Sammy Watkins. We paid him a lot of money, but like Kelvin Benjamin took a really cheap contract at the end of the season just for a chance to play in the playoffs.
Sure.
So, and he's just a big body for the end zone. So, I would be interested to see how this kind of plays out because I would say that people want to come play in Kansas City.
Right. Well, and that's a really good point. I mean, we saw with Denver a couple years ago, and Peyton Manning was there.
Exactly.
People wanted to come play. Wes Welker.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, they just piled the weapons in there.
Yeah.
And then their offense just exploded.
Right. And, of course, Peyton Manning is Peyton Manning. Yeah. And when he's running an offense, you and I could be receivers and scoring touchdowns.
Yes.
I mean, Noshawn Moreno had 10 catching touchdowns that season, like that 2013 season. So I mean, you're right. It could bring in people. There's not really a whole lot of receivers going into free agency. I mean, obviously, there's the huge one, Antonio Brown.
Yeah, exactly.
Looks like he's going to the Niners.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say that we need Antonio Brown. It would just be filling in the third and fourth receiver better than what we have, if that's what we kind of feel like we need. So
yeah, and you get Tyreek Hill to get his route running the way that AB does, which I don't know very many who can. But imagine Tyreek Hill running just amazing routes. That's going to help him when those legs start wearing out, because that speed's going to gradually decline. And I think Tyreek Hill has proven himself. The first couple of years I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
But now definitely. And with Patrick Mahomes, just that offense works together.
Yeah. Everybody kind of complements each other
Right.
in the styles that they are, and I think it's a tribute to the GM and the coaching staff because they're playing well to the offensive strengths for sure.
Yeah. And so, do you consider? Obviously, you consider this season a win, but do you consider the loss part of the curse? Is it just like we're never gonna get there? You won one playoff game.
Yeah, we won a playoff game against the Colts and at home,
who were on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
So or are you thinking next year? All right, we're gonna be 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Is that what you think? 1 or 2?
We're shooting for top seed.
Okay.
And we got 2 ghosts off our back with that Colts game. We haven't won a playoff game at home, and we couldn't beat the Colts in the freaking playoffs, man. So we got both of those monkeys off our back, and we're shooting for 1 or 2 probably. Hope for first or second seed in the playoffs next year.
Something I'd like to do on another video this offseason is talk about what teams in the AFC could really make an impact against that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and say Denver is.
Right.
I'm hoping Denver gets a wild card spot at this point.
Right.
Pulls a 2012 Baltimore Ravens.
Exactly.
And does their thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for because I'm not sold on our offense. But there are other teams that could potentially get better and, really challenge the Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are a handful of good playoff teams and in the AFC to push for those seeds.
The Colts, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. Colts and Texans. I mean, both of those teams are in the same divisions, and they're young and they have good young players in both of those teams.
I know this is probably not going to happen. Could you imagine Antonio Brown going to the Texans?
That would be nuts.
That would be wow. That could be really interesting.
Yeah.
Which, I really think it's going to be the Niners. I think that's sold. I don't know if you saw Antonio Brown today or it's today, the tweet about saying goodbye to the Steelers and moving on.
Yep.
So that's, at least now we're not questioning that because there was kind of some backtrack from the owner saying, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I think him with the Niners, that's nasty.
That'll be good. That'll be good for the Niners.
Holy cow.
Yep.
They get that defense up a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're getting off topic. Speaking of the Chiefs defense, D Ford.
Yeah.
Coming up, he's probably going to be franchise tag.
Yeah, it's looking like he played himself right into a franchise tag.
Sure.
Kind of a year. You saw it coming as a Chiefs fan. You felt real bad about it because he hasn't produced other than this year.
Yeah.
But you don't really have much of an option, so they franchised them.
Right.
We're probably going to.
Well, and when you look kind of through the 20, they have. It's probably the best bet to keep around.
Right. There's not a lot of good free agents that we have that deserve the franchise tag, so it seems like a good thing to use it there. Yeah.
Do you think Steven Nelson will be on his way out?
It's hard to tell. I mean, I think that would depend on if they bring in another corner because I think they like him as a corner, a solid corner. He's not great, but I think they like him at his current contract level. So if they can bring in another corner to kind of replace him, then I think he'd be on his way out. But
I know you don't have a whole lot of money to spend, but a couple possible guys: Kareem Jackson, Ronald Darby, Bryce Callahan.
Right.
If they're not looking for too expensive, those could be guys to replace Steven Nelson. The reason why I'm asking is I kind of noticed Steven Nelson made some really huge mistakes in really critical moments.
Right.
I can't remember. It might have been that Rams game where it was just letting people run all over him, but it was. I really feel like at the end of the season, his what he was doing was declining.
Right. Sure. His level of play.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and it's hard as a corner to be on TV, and I mean because when your mistakes show, they're pretty glaring.
Yeah.
They're big plays for touchdowns, they're pass interference or something like that. So and you don't get to see when he had blanket coverage. Nobody notices that. So I can't speak to that. I haven't watched a lot of Steven Nelson film myself, but he had more glaring, big plays against him than maybe some of the other corners, and that could be game planning by the other offenses. I'm not really sure. I can't speak a lot to that, but I would say that he more than likely is probably on his way out. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs kept him.
Okay. Yeah, because really for the Chiefs, you take your offense and move it to 15, or defense. You take your defense, move it to the 15s.
Right.
You're going to be exponentially better.
Exactly.
Because we let you last. Well,
Yeah.
31st. There was one team worse. And so, like, yeah, you get up to just 15, which I know you have a new defensive coordinator, which I think was time.
Yeah, it was time for a new defensive coordinator, new defensive staff, and we've got like I think 3 new defensive staff underneath him too. So we were excited about getting some new defensive players.
Yeah.
I mean, new defensive coaching just in there because it wasn't working. It wasn't working as the Chiefs, and so we have to find a way to make what we have work, and that wasn't happening with Bob Sutton.
Well, and just kind of, I want to end it on the. I want to talk about 2 things, and then ended up kind of with the defensive subject. But for you guys, running back, are you sold with the current running back situation you have? Do you think you can improve? Well, you can always improve on it, but do you think you're going to improve on it?
I don't think there's any reason to improve on it.
Okay.
I think Damian Williams isn't going to be your top 15 running back, but he does what he needs to do. And the running back by committee works for us, and I think that's just how it's going to be for us.
Okay.
So if there's some great running back, Le'Veon Bell, that just wants to take a cheap contract, but he's not going to. He's not going to. So that's just not going to happen. So again, we need to spend our money in the right places, and I don't think the right place is at the running back position.
I agree with you.
Spend money on defense.
Didn't you give David Williams an extension?
Right.
At the
in the middle of the season or end of the season sometimes. So,
right. Okay. Yeah. So he's paid that running back. Now, it's kind of a sad subject for a lot of Chiefs fans, but Eric Berry.
Right.
Where are we at there? His coverage against Gronk was abysmal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it was Gronk made huge clutch plays.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, it was Gronk, but it's also old Gronk.
It's
old
Gronk.
It's blocker Gronk. Like that's what he did best this season. Was an amazing blocker for Sonny Michel.
Right.
So where we at, like he's got to have some money owed to him next year.
Yeah, I mean he had a big contract 3 or so years ago, so he's kind of at the end of it. I think he has a year or 2 left, but it's kind of like a Derek Johnson situation. I mean we're gonna have to cut ties. I mean. The level of play is just not there, and as much as I hate to say it, I mean he's just not healthy. Yeah. Like, he's a stand-up guy and one of the best locker room guys we will ever have, but he's just not healthy and he can't be counted on a week-to-week basis. So,
who do you think could step up and take that veteran role back there?
Earl Thomas.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice, but that's a Dallas.
Yeah.
He's going to Dallas, right? I mean,
Well,
I mean, wow, that'd be insane,
right?
That'd be crazy. Like that'd be wow. I don't think you have the money for Earl Thomas.
I don't think we'll get Earl Thomas either. It's a dream, and he would play well in our system. But I think we have a couple young players that are suited and ready to go. I mean, they played at the end of the season, and our secondary got better in the last half of the season. We had markedly improved yards per game, points per game. So I think our young players can do it. Will they be top 15 defense? No, I would say maybe top 20 to 15. You know, middle to the just behind. Yeah. And I think that'll be good enough.
Well, right, and and especially it is a year 1 defense essentially.
Right.
You got a whole new scheme.
Yeah.
So maybe 2020, but I really feel like you're in this win now mentality.
Yeah.
Like it is next season's Super Bowl bust. Right. It's not win a playoff game.
Yeah.
Anymore.
We are past that winning a playoff game for Chiefs fans. We are ready for a Super Bowl appearance and we are ready to win one.
A Super Bowl win. You can't just sit up here like you are Super Bowl or bust. So that's my final thoughts on just we'll obviously later in the offseason once the dust is settled from everything that's happened.
Exactly.
We'll rediscuss more about that, but at this point, those are the needs, I think, and so Yep. But talking about new coaches, let's go to Denver.
Yep.
Denver got Vic Fangio as a head coach, defensive coordinator for the Bears last year. Made the Bears a top 5 defense.
Exactly.
They were phenomenal.
They were
No,
great
Khalil
defense.
Mack.
Yeah, Khalil Mack does help that
Right.
that situation.
But we have
it
never has Khalil Mack.
Yeah, they have Von Miller. The defensive pieces are there for Vic Fangio to use. They're all over the place on that defense. So it's just a matter of how well that. It's not going to be of how well it's going to be. It's going to be 5 or 1 in my mind of top defenses. I fully expect the Denver defense just to be something to be feared.
Well, I'm excited for a year 2 Bradley Chubb.
Yeah.
Because what it's reminded me of, and I know it's only been a few years off, but it's reminded me of when DeMarcus Ware
yeah,
young Von Miller,
exactly,
and now it's flip flop.
Yeah.
And man, Bradley Chubb had an amazing season.
He did.
Almost broke the rookie record.
Yeah.
And and I know that they're double team Vaughn. Nothing had to double team Bradley Chubb to figure out what to do with Vaughn. And
exactly.
I know Vic Fangio said that he thinks Von Miller can be better than he already is.
Right.
Which is terrifying.
It is for anybody for any other team. It's just like, how can Von Miller be any better? Because he's already disrupting every single play that he's all the time. So that's scary.
Yeah, and so I'm really excited to see what happens. Kind of something we talked about before we started filming today was I'm not as optimistic going into this season as I was, 2 years ago or even last year. Last year I thought, okay, maybe Case Keenum.
Yeah.
He had a good year,
yeah, exactly.
But it just what a bust. And I do believe that the coaching had a lot to do with it. I put a lot of blame on Case. I don't think that Vance had the ability to get everybody on the same page.
Exactly. He wasn't that compelling person to get behind and to get everybody excited about what they were doing.
Yeah.
It seemed like.
Yeah, where Vic is just it's like an old mafia boss.
Yeah, exactly. Don't mess with Vic, man.
And no crap. Just hey, and he does the. If you're a Broncos fan, you've heard this, but if not, he's the never give an inch, and that's something that I love. I think these young guys really need that.
Yeah. So what is the piece that you think that the Broncos need to be in that wild card race?
Now it's a pipe dream at this point.
Right.
But I would love for this to happen.
This is pre-free agency, so everything's a dream.
Let's trade Case Keenum to Baltimore to back up Lamar Jackson.
Sure.
Oh, I guess they're releasing Joe Flacco, so Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco.
That's what it is. Joe Flacco to the Broncos.
Yeah.
I think if we let Case go, it wouldn't hurt our cap room too much. We have $43 million,
sure.
So we've got some money to spend.
Sure.
We've paid really everybody who should be. Emmanuel Sanders is coming up, but I think we're going to be trading him off to get a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
And so. But yeah, quarterback. I think if we were to get someone like Joe Flacco, who knows how to protect the ball, who's been in the big games, who I really think that he could get us there.
Yeah. He
would definitely keep us in the race.
Yep. And it would look like a Baltimore team from, the early 2000s. Great defense, and then have Joe Flacco running the play action, managing the game, and that won a Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl doing that. So
and he absolutely has the ability for the play action with Philip Lindsay.
Yeah, exactly.
Philip Lindsay's going to come back and just be hungrier than he was last year. And I think that Royce Freeman is a great secondary back, and he's going to be great on third downs. And so it's our quarterback situation. Our wide receivers, we could use a wide receiver.
Sure.
Another wide receiver.
Sure.
I think Cortland Sutton's going to be fine. Emmanuel Sanders could come back. I would be okay with that.
Right.
But if the possibility of someone like Antonio Brown wanted to come to Denver, which I know at first was one of the possibilities.
Sure.
That'd be cool. But I think that Antonio Brown is going to go somewhere where there's a quarterback he knows he can win with.
Yeah.
I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is really that quarterback. We didn't get to see it. It was that was my dude last year.
Yeah. He made a dumb mistake in trying to get a couple extra yards and cost himself a season. And
I really hope it doesn't cost him his ability.
Yeah.
I hope he just comes back and shakes it off. And I think he will. I think he had his comeuppance with the greatest coach in the NFL, with the greatest quarterback backing him up.
Yeah.
And so I think, but anyways, we're not talking about the NFC West. Talking about the AFC West and the Broncos. I do think that our defense is going to be just fine. I would like to see Bradley Roby go.
Okay.
I don't know if he had the ability to take that Akeem Talib position.
Sure.
Akeem Talib said, you need those dogs on the team.
Yeah, exactly.
And someone like Akeem Talib is important. I know that he used to get those fouls when it wasn't necessary, but he also has the most interceptions or a touchdown.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's an animal. It hurt to see him go, but I thought Bradley Roby was going to be able to step up. But he's a good depth guy.
Right. So would you like to see that addressed in the draft or by a free agent?
I wouldn't mind free agency.
Yeah.
Those guys I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I think could come in and really make an impact.
Sure.
We still have Chris Harris.
Right. Exactly.
Who's top 5 cornerback in the league.
Yeah.
Arguably. Maybe top 10. I'd have to think about that.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think in the comments about Chris Harris is.
Yeah.
But I know Chris Harris. I see Chris Harris every week.
Exactly.
He's shut down. It hurt us to lose him. But again, we're not worried about the defense. We need offense. We need linemen. We're losing Matt Paradis.
Sure.
I know there's not a whole lot, so we'll probably address that in the draft.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to do it at 10.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure we're going to. I don't want to say I'm pretty sure, but I think from reports it looks like we're going to trade up to try to get Drew Lock.
Okay.
Which would be okay with me.
Yeah.
Let him do what Patrick Mahomes did, play behind Case Keenum for a year.
Yeah.
Come back, come out and do his thing.
Learn an offense and then execute it the next year.
Right. Because I think if this coaching staff works out, which I really think it will, I think it's going to stick around for a while.
Exactly.
John always said he wants a 10-year coaching staff.
Yep.
That would be great because consistency is so important.
So important. I mean, you see the turnover in a whole lot of teams and other teams, and they're constantly going in that 6-10, 8-8 kind of range, and so it's just disappointing when you have that much turnover. So yeah, I think Vic Fangio is the real deal as far as a coach goes. I think he'll be a great head coach.
30 years in the league is impressive. Never been a head coach, but I think he's been around to know enough to be a head coach.
Exactly.
So.
When you're a defensive coordinator for that long, it probably won't matter too much that he hasn't been a head coach yet.
Right. And so we'll be breaking down the Broncos a lot this offseason, of course. There's some big notable free agents. I think Shane Ray, he's definitely on his way. I don't know. I think if we're going to franchise tag anybody, Domata Peko would be a good franchise tag.
Sure.
I just think him, Derek Wolfe, Von Miller, Bradley Chubb.
Yeah, that's a good front.
Wow.
Yeah.
that's some good stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And so with Vic Fangio being a linebacker coach, we still got Brandon Marshall. Maybe get another linebacker in the draft.
Sure.
I know some of the mock drafts are saying we're going to get some linebackers, so that might be good. But yeah, franchise tag Domata Peko. We're losing Shaq Barrett. We're going to lose Shane Ray. Shane Ray. Yeah, I'm okay with him. He was like 4th on our depth, and I do think that a good spot for him. Let's backtrack. Would be Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean I think we could use a little bit of pass rush help. I would rather see us address the linebacker spot. I think we really suffered there, and I think that in a lot of ways affected both the run game and the pass game.
Right.
So, but pass rush depth is great for us. I mean, we don't have a lot, so I would welcome it as a Chiefs fan.
Well, and that's what Shane Ray is he's a good depth player.
Yeah.
He'd be good behind D Ford.
Yeah.
Justin Houston, allow them to do what they're going to do.
Exactly.
How long is Justin Houston going to be around, you think?
Not long.
How much longer?
Not much longer. I mean, he's good.
Yeah.
He's still good. He's great in the run game.
Good veteran to have.
Yeah, he's a great veteran. I mean, he knows how to read offenses. He knows how to play linemen. Can definitely teach the younger pass rushers a thing or two about how to do that stuff. But his cap number is too big to stick around. Yeah. So,
well, and that's okay.
Yeah,
it's part of football. We're seeing a lot of the guys we grew up with on their way out, which is fine.
Yep.
So Denver Broncos. Something I'd like to see is get that O-line, help that run game get better. I can see Philip Lindsay doing some crazy good stuff. Nope, I'm not going to get into this NFC. But Saquon Barkley.
Yep, great.
I mean, phenomenal. Yeah. Just, I would love to compare, and kind of talk about what they're going to do next season. Because I think you get a quarterback in there that's not Eli Manning, you have some really good pieces.
Yeah.
That's for another day.
Yep.
So Denver Broncos, let's just get that offense figured out. And let's shoot for wild card. And I would love another Super Bowl. So I'm be greedy. Only 3 years out.
Yeah.
So
realistic is good. Realistic is good.
Right. I'd like to get a Super Bowl in there.
Yeah.
So now I do want to jump over to the Chargers.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of notable free agents that I can see, but Antonio Gates.
Right.
I think, like we were talking about earlier, he'll come back for a little 1-year deal.
That minimum or something like that.
And a half.
Yeah, with some bonuses built in. But.
And because they're good with Hunter Henry, if he stays healthy. They'll be good with him.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that Jason Verrett is coming up. And they're probably just going to let him go. He's been with the team for 4 years, but he can do well somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think they'll just let him go. I think what they really need, though, is linebackers, defensive tackles.
Yeah.
They're obviously good on the pass rush.
Yep.
But you get that interior defense figured out.
Exactly.
They could be dirty.
Yep. They had some troubles in the run game on defense. Like they couldn't stop a lot of the run stuff, and the screen game was not good against them. And so when you can focus on Bosa and Ingram on the outsides and not worry about anything else in the middle, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, just push those gaps, those A gaps.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, and I wouldn't. I mean, as a Chargers fan, I wouldn't mind seeing another weapon come over to the Chargers. I mean, Keenan Allen can be kind of injury prone, and Hunter Henry is a little injury prone.
Right.
So if you can have a top tier weapon that comes in and that can fill those roles when they're not there, I think that would be super beneficial for that offense as well.
And so you're saying receiver? You think they'll
receiver or tight end? Maybe that second tight end behind Hunter Henry that can fill in a more explosive role than what maybe Antonio Gates could.
Sure. I do think I am intrigued, though, to see an offense with Antonio Gates and Hunter Henry.
Sure.
Just because the way that Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates are connected.
Exactly.
I don't know if they're 100 years old apiece. They could probably still get a touchdown.
Exactly.
So it'd be interesting to see double team Hunter Henry or put some focus on him, leaving Antonio Gates open up the middle.
Yeah.
It could be interesting.
Yeah, and vice versa. So if you're in the red zone, that's Antonio Gates is Phillip Rivers is that go-to guy. So now you're doubling him and leaving an athletic tight end Hunter Henry over on the other side, and you got a lot of problems.
A running back back there who could get a red zone touchdown.
Exactly.
That's a little scary. With Phillip Rivers, who's at least seen everything.
As
far as a quarterback,
exactly. He has the experience. He has the experience to take him there. It's just a matter if they can stay healthy as a team, I think.
I really wonder if Phillip Rivers would do better or would have done better somewhere else. Like, I wonder if he would have eventually got to a Super Bowl, because at this point I feel like last year was the year.
Yeah, exactly.
If they were going to get to the Super Bowl, it was this last year.
Yep.
And when they blew it against the Patriots, which again everyone did.
Right.
Everyone did.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they just laid a goose egg in the playoffs, and it's like that. I mean, you had the offense and you had what looked like the defense to keep up with most teams, and then just laid an egg.
No, it was real unfortunate. I grew up in San Diego. And for me, I got a little special place in my heart. There's always been divisional rivals, so we could play them, whatever. But I've been to so many Chargers games, and I get there in LA now. But the Chargers have a special place,
Exactly.
So I was hoping. I love LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yep.
Junior Seau. Those guys were just iconic back in.
Yeah, there's a lot of rich history for the Chargers. I mean, some of the greatest players, have come through the Chargers for sure.
And they're just Phillip Rivers is going to be the Dan Marino. Just never get that ring.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah. And with the way the Rams played, I think the Chargers could have won that Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, let's have another AFC team like the Chiefs or the Chargers play the Patriots again for a Super Bowl.
Now, here's kind of a what if question. All right, let's say the Chiefs made it to the Super Bowl and they were playing the Rams. Would the Chiefs have had the know-how and the defense to do what the Patriots did to the Rams?
They wouldn't have done what the Patriots did to the Rams. I mean, we would have saw way more points. I mean, both teams probably in the 30s at least.
Well, we saw that first game.
Oh yeah, I mean, 50 points apiece. Right. That's just nuts.
Yeah.
But I think both teams can make adjustments. Would have made adjustments from those games going back to that. But they would have not played the Rams defensively that well.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, yeah. So the Chargers really not for me a whole lot to talk about. Do you have any thoughts on what you think they need? Or
I mean, I would say they need to look at the quarterback position. I mean, they need to groom somebody behind Philip Rivers because I know he keeps doing it every year. I mean, he wins in the regular season, but something's missing after that. I mean, he's not finishing the season in good playoff terms. So I would like to see them get somebody that they think that can be a franchise quarterback potentially.
That'd be interesting. I don't know if there's anyone at 28 who would be really.
I doubt it'd be in the first round. It's probably going to be like one of those Jimmy Garoppolo's, Russell Wilson in the second and third round.
Okay.
So
yeah,
kind of a thing.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it's time to start grooming someone. The AFC West is going to look a whole lot different here shortly than what we're used to.
It will.
Than who we're used to having around.
Yep.
You know, which leads us to, of course, the last team.
Yeah.
The Raiders. I do want to start off, while we're talking about quarterbacks, I just want to start off with Derek Carr. Is Derek Carr the answer? Is he the franchise quarterback for this team going forward? What I assume is they're trying to build a perfect team. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I think that they said, John Gruden got 10 years, scrap it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, take who you want to keep, and let's keep them around, and then just build the team around those 2 to 3, maybe 5 players, and let's start from scratch.
Really, Jared Cook and Derek Carr
on the offensive side. I mean, I mean, they have a running back. I can't remember his name, but who looks pretty good. They had a pretty decent run game, but I mean, Derek Carr's play this last year doesn't look like he can be that franchise quarterback.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree. He had a couple of years ago, right before he broke his leg, man. He was looking like the guy. The Raiders were looking like the team.
Yeah, the Raiders looked like they could win the Super Bowl.
It was insane.
Yeah.
And, he comes back and just nothing. Then you start getting rid of Amari Cooper. You start getting rid of Khalil Mack. You're bringing in Jordy Nelson. Bringing in Jordy Nelson is crazy to me because if there was one thing I noticed is he can't play. He's not good without Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly.
I mean, when Aaron Rodgers is hurt, he's scoring 2 touchdowns.
Right. He doesn't even statistically in Green Bay. I mean, he just didn't do well without Aaron Rodgers. So why bring him in and play with not Aaron Rodgers?
Not Aaron Rodgers. And so I don't know about Derek Carr, but I also don't see. I don't know who in the future could be, that guy either who's coming out. And so, I mean, we'll see, but I just think next year they're going to be looking at another losing record.
Right.
Maybe this draft will change everything. But
I mean, as a Raider fan, you can only be hopeful, but pessimistically hopeful. I mean, as your team is just not built well right now. John Gruden doesn't really care about who's there, and he'll get rid of anybody just to build with the players that he wants to build.
Right.
And so that's going to take 2 to 3 years before that team's even partially constructed, in my opinion.
It's just really tough because you do have a Chiefs and potentially Denver team who is going to just be right back up there.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you're going to have to fight against that. Yeah. Where I do think the Chargers are on their way down.
Right.
Had your peak. Now they're going to be on their way down.
Yep.
Maybe you could leapfrog the Chargers there.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's because Chargers don't have a home. I mean, the Rams are LA's team.
Yeah.
So, and then, Raiders, of course, going to Vegas. So maybe go into a new stadium, having that new energy behind them.
Right.
Might give them that push.
Yep.
New players, new exciting,
Exactly. I mean, I would say as a Raiders player, I mean, how depressing would it be that, we're just starting from scratch again. Yeah. I mean, and just having to wait till we move to Vegas. And, and then that's when we'll get our teams. Like, I wouldn't be motivated to play for the Raiders.
You definitely have a whole lot of free agents that want to go there, I'm sure.
No.
I did see someone talked about that maybe just because they have the money, someone like Le'Veon Bell.
Right.
Which I think that could really, because the Raiders have a good line.
Yeah.
So having Le'Veon Bell there could be a huge game changer.
Exactly.
Would it be enough? I don't know.
Right.
You have a defense you got to figure out. But they got money. They got draft picks. They got potentially a coach.
Potentially.
Who can get this thing figured out.
Yeah, exactly.
Some notable free agents. Jared Cook.
Yeah.
Franchise tagged.
Yeah, there's no reason not to franchise tag him. Yeah. I mean, nobody else on that team is worth franchising tag.
Yeah.
So
almost got 1,000 yards.
Just keep him here.
Yeah, might as well.
Top 10 tight end.
Yeah. Marshawn Lynch probably on his way out, which is fine. Martavis Bryant didn't do anything.
So, there's no reason to keep him around.
Yeah.
He's not playing on the football field.
He can go be a second third to somewhere.
Somebody else.
Then Brandon LaFell, I don't know if they'll keep him around. I can see him playing somewhere else. Maybe going like to the Saints.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Back over there.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Do you think the draft is going to change anything for them?
What I would say is I would be not hopeful. I mean, if we look at the Browns have had 2 to 3 years of just top 5 draft picks or multiple draft picks in the first round, and it's taken them this long to get to where they are, and they were 6 wins or something, 7 wins, somewhere in there, and this draft can start the building process, but it's not going to immediately flip the switch, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, and it does remind me, when you brought up the Browns, it does remind me a lot of the Browns 2016.
Yes.
A lot of money, just a clean slate.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to talk about the Browns this year.
Yeah.
Something we forgot to bring up with the Chiefs, so we're just going to – all right, so do you have any other thoughts on the Raiders before we move on to the final topic?
Nope. I hope John Gruden pans out for them. For their sake.
Yeah.
I hope John Gruden is the answer.
Yeah, and
so,
we'll see. So Raiders fans, let us know what you think. Did we miss anyone? Did we miss anything? Denver fans, Chiefs fans, let us know your opinions in the comments. We'll talk about them in future episodes, and let us know what you think. So I do want to end this just talking about the Chiefs fan. Let's talk about Kareem Hunt going to the Browns.
Yeah,
I think that's huge for the Browns.
Yeah,
Kareem Hunt was a good running back. I had to hate him.
Exactly.
I had to, but now that he's off, doing his thing, just like Alex Smith, I can like him now.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt, not so much, because he did kick a woman in the face. But for the Browns, I see the Browns being in the playoffs next year.
Right. If Kareem Hunt gets on the field, they still determine if he's going to be suspended or not, and the length of time that looks like. So I think he can make a huge impact if he gets on the field.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're signing him probably says a little bit. John Dorsey generally has a more riskier kind of personality going into free agency, and those kind of things. Like Tyreek Hill had some questionable character coming out of the draft, and so we drafted him. So he has some of that history, right, working with some tougher players' character issues. So if somebody can do it, that John Dorsey has had that history of working with those players. But
he did draft him though too, right?
Yeah, he drafted Kareem Hunt too.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of familiarity there. So there's not a lot of surprises that he ended up with the Browns.
Yeah, and I do think I'm going to say now I don't think Kareem Hunt will ever do that again.
Yeah,
I think that was for lack of a better term his mistake. I don't agree with it. It was horrible. I'm not sure if he should play in the NFL again.
Right.
That video was rough, but since they're letting him, I'm saying probably a 4-game suspension and maybe 6.
Yeah.
And we'll see him halfway through, and I think he'll make an immediate impact. I'm telling you, the Browns, Baker Mayfield, they're going to be good.
Yeah, the Browns are really good. I would say they're contesting for the division.
Absolutely.
For the top of the division.
Especially with the way the Steelers are collapsing.
Steelers look like they're in shambles. Baltimore, you don't know how Lamar Jackson's going to pan out in the second year. Same thing, kind of the Patrick Mahomes thing. And Cincinnati is not going to be contender. They just don't have players.
No.
They don't have players. So they're always going to be the third team, maybe even the fourth team this year because the Browns are just that much better.
Yeah. And did they just get Adam Gase?
I don't know who they hired. I can't remember.
Where did Adam Gase go?
Adam Gase went to the Jets.
That's right. That video? That video.
His eyes were wide open. Looked a little weird.
He was on all kinds of drugs. Let us know in the comments if you see that video. If you haven't, you've got to just Google
go look
Adam Gase Jets press conference. He is just. You see the one where they put the pizza?
Yeah, he's looking at that. Oh, man, that's hilarious.
So I don't know what was going on there. I would like to see his response to that. But So Dylan, this was a pleasure, man. I love talking to you.
Yeah.
It's what we do. It's what we've done all the years that we've been friends. So I love having you on. Do you want to let the people know that we got a podcast coming up?
Yeah. So coming down the road, maybe in a month or two after the draft or something, I'll be starting my own AFC West podcast. So if you're Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders fan, keep the lookout. Keep it from this channel. We might be teaming up a little bit more and getting another podcast just specifically for the AFC West. So.
That would be phenomenal. I would love
Yes.
that because then I can just talk all the trash that I want.
It'll be a little more biased.
yeah. So I'm looking forward to that, man. You're going to do phenomenal. I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, thank you everyone for checking out the video. We are going to break this up into 4, as you've probably already seen now. If you liked everything you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. Every single subscription, every single like is so important. So please, thank you so much for those who have watched and shared. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on The Football Connection.